threatening livelihoods.
Today is World Press Freedom Day, and it's dedicated to the importance of journalism and freedom of expression in the context of the current global environmental crisis. According to the annual World Press Freedom Index published by Reporters Without Borders, political attacks on press freedom, including the detention of journalists, suppression of independent media outlets, and widespread dissemination of misinformation, significantly intensified in the past year around the world. It adds that about 1,668 journalists have been killed in the past 20 years. The index ranks 180 countries on the ability of journalists to work and report freely as well as independently. The RSF says since October 2023, more than 100 Palestinian reporters have been killed by Israeli soldiers in Gaza, including at least 22 in the course of their work. Journalists have been killed in Sudan, where there have been serious attempts to curb independent reporting of violence and civil war. And here in Nigeria, journalists have witnessed an improvement in press freedom since the military era, but there's still room for enhancing press activities nationwide. Nigerian journalists at this year's commemoration honored their fallen colleagues who lost their lives in the pursuit of truth. Ulomo Yemachi has more.
The United Nations General Assembly recognizes the critical role of a free press in fostering democracy, transparency and accountability by formally proclaiming the 3rd of May as World Press Freedom Day. This annual observance serves as a global platform to highlight the fundamental importance of press freedom and to remind governments worldwide of their obligation to safeguard and promote the rights to freedom of expression as enshrined in Article 19 of the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Journalists for environmental crisis, what does that mean?
In Nigeria, the path to press freedom is different, full of twists and turns. The press have faced censorship, challenges and occasional triumphs.
We are coming from the military era. If you want to compare our experience during the military era and our experience in the last 20 years or so, you will say, okay, we're doing very well. Because for those of us who were around during the military era, it's like a suicide. You know, practicing journalism, you can leave your house in the morning, you are not sure of coming back.
Journalists still believe that press freedom remains under threat, often masked by claims of national security concerns, as they emphasize the critical need for the federal government to safeguard press freedom.
In the countries that is under a democracy, we are not saying that we are saying that nobody is above the law. Even journalists are not above the law. But we are saying that in determining who is wrong, who is right, the place to go is a competent court of law.
Government really has to rise to the occasion in this regard, mostly by enacting laws that could ensure that journalists are not in any way endangered species.
We need to have more advocacy talks on it, allow journalists to carry out their daily activity without intimidation or fear.
Touching on the 2024 theme, Press for the Planet, Journalism in the Face of Environmental Crisis, respondents emphasized the vital role of journalists in addressing environmental challenges.
The whole idea is that journalists has a responsibility to continue to create that awareness. They have that responsibility to continue to hold government accountable to people, government accountable to the people, so that they can begin, so that they can continue to design good policies and programs for in an attempt to reduce the environmental crisis.
And see how hot the environment is lately, but journalists are doing so much in enlightening the public on the situation at hand and on how we can actually mitigate this.
Section 22 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria states that the press shall be free at all times to uphold the accountability and responsibility of the government to the people. And if the federal government does not abide by this rule, even sharing information on environmental crisis will not be possible. Uloma Oyemachi, TVC News, Abuja.
And that's the world now. For more updates on the stories we're covering around the world, visit our website, tvcnews.tv. Also follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG. Remember, we're live on YouTube at TVC News NG. I'm back at the tip of the hour with more stories for you. Stay with us, everyone.